Welcome to another adventure of the Backroads channel with Mark and Rich. We're in Eldon, Iowa for this episode, and this will be a lot of fun. This is something that maybe will get the artistic juices flowing here. We're standing in front of what appears to be an old barn, but it's actually a blacksmith shop in Eldon, Iowa. That's right. Larry Crow is the blacksmith here. He owns and operates Old Crow Blacksmith Shop. And he's got a project waiting for us. We're going to go in and meet Larry and see what he's going to make for us today. But in the meantime, if you like our videos and you like what we do, please hit the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that. Like us on Facebook. Let's head inside and do a little blacksmithing with Larry Crow from Old Crow Blacksmith Shop in Eldon, Iowa. We're in Eldon, Iowa on another adventure from the Backroads channel with Mark and Rich. Eldon, Iowa, and we're at a blacksmith shop. Now, you don't normally think of a blacksmith shop being in a small town like Eldon, Iowa, southeast Iowa, Wapello County, but nonetheless, there is one here. And we've got the owner and operator. Proprietor might be a little better word because that's more of a term they used back in the days when blacksmith shops were really all over, way back in the day. This is Larry Crow from Old Crow Blacksmith Shop. Larry, good to see you.
Likewise.
Thanks for having us over. We appreciate this.
It's a real pleasure to have you.
A blacksmith shop in Eldon, Iowa. Now, how many people know?
Well, quite a few people. At one time, I started off as a hobby. Then it turned into a full-time business. And of course, we had a website, and we sent stuff all over the United States. So then later on, at the time that I did a continuing education for Indian Hills Community College, and I just finally got to the point I just didn't have the space to do that anymore. And then I decided it was maybe time to go back to being a hobby instead of full-time business. And so went back to that. Incidentally, I have retired 3 times. But after I decided to kind of slow down and go back to being just a hobby, I went to work for a company in Fairfield called SIAC. And what they do is they transported mental patients and juvenile delinquents for various sheriff departments all over the state. So for 8 years I was a transport officer. And when I was getting right next to 80, I thought, well, maybe it's time to retire again. So I did. And so my wife and I then was doing a paper route. You're probably familiar with the Hawkeye Trade.
Absolutely.
Our particular route was about 450 miles, and we had about 70-some stops. Well, at one time, she had a lot of respiratory problems, and when COVID happened, she said, I'm not comfortable going in all these places. I said, well, that's simple enough, to just quit, because I didn't want to do it for myself. And so we did, and so I thought, well, I think I'll just, get the blacksmith shop cranked up. So that's basically what we've done. We don't have a website now, but we do sell quite a bit of product.
So what got you interested in this in the first place? You started out as a hobbyist way back in the day. Well, what even piqued your interest?
I sort of like Bill Pretty down at the gun store. I started out, the first endeavor was to shoe horses. Now, And my horseshoeing career, that got way beyond what I henceforth to do. We had horses, and a lot of the farriers just would not listen to me. To make any difference to what she told them, they done it their way, and they're probably right most of the time. But so what I did was I went down and bought me several books, bought me some tools, and I started shoeing my own horses. Never meant to shoe anybody else's horses. And one day I woke up and I had horses galore. And I sort of like, Bill, you know, this is nonsense. You get killed. So, and my brother-in-law and I both was interested in blacksmithing. So we just, we started fiddling with it, and it just took off from there.
So you're here, Bill is here in Bentonsport, Iowa.
Right.
We actually did a video on him.
Right.
And if anybody would like to check that out, it's on our YouTube channel, the Backroads channel with Mark and Rich. Take a look at that. This is a little bit different shop than what he's got set up, though.
Yes.
You know, you traditionally, in pictures, and then at his shop, you know, it's all open to the outside. You're a lot more enclosed here. So just tell us about your setup a little bit.
Well, this space I had, I just tried to raise my equipment to where it was the most, you know, easy to go one place to the other. And that's what, is that answering your question?
Yeah, that's good. A lot of equipment in here looks familiar from being in Bill's shop in Bentonsport, and then there's some that I don't recognize in here. So first of all, how many of you guys are around that still do this that you know?
You would be very surprised. There's hundreds.
Really?
Yes. And there was a guy by the name of Francis Whitaker a number of years ago really got the fire built in getting an interest back in blacksmithing. And I never had the privilege of meeting Francis. Several blacksmith people that I know did meet Francis. But he must have been a pretty remarkable person. And like I said, he kind of got the fire going. And now you've got a lot of blacksmith organizations, and you have got some fantastic people that's in it that is real passion. The work they do is just unbelievable.
So it's not the lost art a lot of people think.
No, it is not a lost art. And it's like everything else. You know, sometimes people, they, you know, using a power hammer, that's cheap. No, that's not cheap. That's using your head. We'll be using the power hammer after yet. And what I'm going to do with a power hammer, I could do with it on the anvil. What I can do in 30 minutes here will take me 2 hours. And besides that, my arm is on.
Well, I think a lot of people think back in the day of the blacksmiths, that's chiefly what they did.
Yeah, right.
They took care of horseshoes, made horseshoes, shod horses.
And
there's a lot more to blacksmithing than just that. Just tell us a little bit about what you can do.
well, most of the blacksmith today is considered artist blacksmith. And they really, some of them are really, most of them are really fantastic artists and a lot of art ability. My whole theme has been, since I started, is primarily household items. And I do all kinds of household items. Hopefully later on, we can look at some, I have done some railings, spiral staircases, and things like that. They're here in Elwood. I've done a lot of other places too, and I do have some of those things here in Elwood if we've got time to go look at them. And, but I've mainly concentrated on household items.
So we have household items. Of course, there are still people with horses and farriers that need the services of a blacksmith for the shoes, I imagine.
Well, no, they buy all those.
They do. It's all done. Okay.
I will say this much for the farriers: a young man that is stout and don't mind working, he can make a ton of money being a farrier. The prices they get from, especially you get into your your show horses and things like that. A young man can make a fantastic living, but he's going to earn it.
So household items aside, what are some other items that a blacksmith can produce?
Well, tools. A lot of my tools here I make here, and that right off the top of my head, that's pretty much what I do. I make some of my own tools, and I concentrate on household items. I've done all kind of household items, small items to custom tables and bigger items like that. One of these days I'll be able to say I've done a bed. Because Mrs. Bill was sort of for 20 years she's been after me to build an altar. You can't get in a hurry with things like that.
No, you can't. But by the same token, when the missus says, I want this, sooner or later you best get it done.
I think we'll get it done sometime.
I was looking around your shop a little bit, and again, it is all enclosed. Now, we've got for August, a fairly nice day out there. But you've got fans strategically located in here.
Right.
And I imagine when it's 95 degrees outside and high humidity, how hot does it actually get in here?
I have a rule of thumb. If you notice that I have a thermometer right in front of the anvil. Now my rule of thumb is when that thermometer hits 100, I don't look at it anymore.
But you keep on working anyway.
Keep on working. And it's really not near as bad as you would think. But at that time, your shirt has got a little on the damp side. I'm not a heavy sweater, so I just hardly ever, get soaked and wet. But my shirt gets damp. As long as you've got a breeze blowing through the shirt, you stay basically pretty comfortable.
It feels pretty good, doesn't it? All right. Why don't you take us around your shop here and show us a little bit about what you do?
Okay. You want me to start actually?
Yep, we can start.
Okay. Well, the first thing that we're going to make is I refer to as a leaf hook.
A leaf hook?
A leaf hook.
Okay.
I have literally made thousands of these things, and I'm going to show you what we're. This will be the finished product.
Now, are you to the point with this that you can do them in your sleep now?
Probably.
Very nice.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is, unfortunately, I don't move very well without this third leg. To make that leaf hook, we're going to start with a piece of 5/16 round. That's what we're going to start with.
Okay.
And I'll talk our way through it as we go to work over here on the forge. Get a pair of tongs.
I'm going to try and stay out of the picture as much as I can so we can get you doing this.
All right.
What are some of the more practical uses for these hooks?
I have made a lot of toe racks out of them, and I've made a lot of toe racks using a real simple hook too. But of course, those hooks, I think they're kind of unique, and people like them, and they're willing to pay for it for that little bit of extra.
And they'll last forever.
Oh yeah. Almost anything I do, you can pass it down 3 generations and it'll still be in good shape. Okay, we're going to start with this piece of 5/16 round and 7 inches long. First thing we're going to do is get a top. Tight it. If you see over there in the corner with a big old round red thing, that was the blower that come on this course. I used it for a long time, but I finally decided I wouldn't mind having an electric blower, so I put an electric blower on.
How hot is that?
In here,
Yeah.
oh, you're probably approaching 2,000 centigrade. I mean Fahrenheit.
Does this fire ever go out?
Twice, and when I'm working, I start in the morning, and if I go to lunch, I put it out. A lot of guys thank for fire. I would rather come back and start a fire and have a nice clean fire to work with than start with one that's, you have to fiddle around getting it going. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a table on here, and that's going to be for a little decorative and on the end of the hook. And you notice letting the hammer hang over the handle, that's referred to as half-phase blows. This particular hammer is a 1,000-gram hammer, which is basically 2 pounds. Okay, you want to get a look at that? Now I'm going to put it back in the fire and get it hot, and I'm going to bring that back around. Now, didn't say this quarter well now. Anytime you're going to be drawing ground stock out, you have to get it square. Don't move when it's round. So you will see some samples of that in just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to bring this back around. We'll put a little curl on it. And that will be a decorative end on the hook. Into the hook.
Okay.
All right. So now we'll cool it off. Incidentally, this tub of water is normally referred to as a slack tub.
A slack tub?
Slack tub.
Okay.
And
where did that term come from?
well, I think it's because your scale and stuff will fall out in there. And one time I hadn't been smithing very long, and a fellow asked me, he says, "Do you have any trouble with people stealing your water out of the slack tub?" I said, "Well, heavens no. Why would they steal that?" Well, he said they used to think that that was a treatment for poison ivy and poison oak, which I doubt.
Some of these old wives' tales, though, you never know.
I think that's what it was. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to draw a taper out on this end, and this will be the beginning of our leaf.
Okay.
In your video with Bill, you asked me about the fuel, and he said they use coal, and of course they have to convert the coal to coke. And I used coal for a long time. One day I said, I got to convert this to coke before I can use it anyway, so why am I wasting my time? So I just started buying coke, and I buy coke now. Okay, we'll take on. We'll round that back up. That's probably a little longer paper than I would normally make, but it doesn't make any difference because some of these are bigger than others.
So no matter how many of these things you make, no two are exactly alike.
No way. Impossible. Leastwise for me. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a procedure they call forwarding, and use this tool right here. This instrument is called a hamburger blacksmith's helper, and I made most of these tools. This incidentally is my old shoe manual, but I'm still leveling up the shoe ones. But all I'm going to do is just forward that down. I have different size forwards for different materials. So we're going to forward this, and then we'll go ahead and proceed. Before I do that, I want to get a couple pieces of equipment on that I took off for our interview. And this is something I just started a short time ago, is using these glasses as flip up, because they don't work very well to try to forge with them all. And it does offer you a lot of protection looking into that right fire end.
I'll bet.
And I had thought about that a long time. And I was at the Spring Conference, an association I belong with, and the demonstrator said, you know, my optometrist, he asked me, he said, you look like you've been looking in the sun with your eyes. And I thought, well, you know, I've always thought that, you know, that really wasn't good to look in that light, especially you get to a forge weld, you're looking at white hot stuff. And so I found these glasses, and they're cheap, and they take out the UV and all that. And I really like to wear them. I see you got to have something to step up. I mean, you could forge. I couldn't anyway with them. Okay, now we'll get back to the lead. Sorry for the delay. All right. Get this thing hot, and we'll forward on it. I'm going to pull that tip off, but that's much smaller. It could burn off.
It doesn't have to stay in the fire for very long, does it?
No, not particularly the small stuff. No, if bigger stuff, you may be in there. Occasionally I do something, maybe in there 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. All I'm going to do is just make them move now. Okay, can you see that groove?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going back over there to the anvil, and I'm going to take that. Now, this point is strictly optional. It's how you want your leaf to look. If you want your leaf to have a flat bottom, let's do this. If you want it to have a nice taper, go ahead and do this. All right. Now I'm going to switch hammers. All my hammers that I use most of the time is normally a 1,000-gram hammer, which is about 2 pounds. And now this is called a cross peen because the peen runs crossways. Okay.
Is that a wooden mallet I see there?
No. Blacksmiths refer to this as old stinky. It's actually rawhide.
Okay.
And that's occasionally you do use. Now, this next procedure, I'm going to use the straight peen. And the peen runs the same way there. And what that does, to draw this metal out, there are several ways you can do it. You can work it over the edge of the handle, and that, as you push it down over there, that will stretch it out. You can work it over the horn, and the horn being rounded, that will stretch it out. If I'm working with something big, I probably will use this hammer plus the horn, and or the trip hammer. Most likely is what I'll be using. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to square up, and this is not set in stone, it's just a figure that I use. I basically square up about the width of my hammer.
Okay.
And then I'm going to start drawing up the steel. Okay. Not very many things frustrate me, but if I've got a lot of time in on a piece and burn it up, that frustrates me.
And probably a lot of that happened when you were just starting out.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, now I'm going to square up here. Okay, now I'm going to use this straight beam. I'm going to start stretching this out.
Now that hook you were just using there, is that something you made?
The what now?
The hook that you're using right there. Did you make that or?
This here.
Yeah, how did
Yeah.
you? That's one of your creations.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a poker. Okay. We'll stretch this out just a little more. I spend a lot of time stretching it. Then I'll get square it back, round it back up. Now, you can see I was the width of my hammer when I started.
Okay.
So I'm coming close to 50% more. I don't know if you can see it. This mess here, this pan, is called clean. And what that is, that's the impurities that's left in the coat and the scale and stuff that falls off. And if you fire against much of that in it, you're out of luck. Okay, I'm gonna switch hammers. I don't have to, but I just like the balance on this hammer better. I don't need that straight view. Okay. Now you can see we're back to pretty much round again.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make some levers. And for that, we need a different hammer. This is called a rounding hammer. Again, approximately 1,000 grams on hammer. And the reason they call it a rounding hammer, got that rounding surface on it. So we're going to start forming the lever. What we're going to do now is start down the I like to flip it over.
still do much teaching these days?
Yes, I love to teach, and the way I do it now is strictly one-on-one.
That's probably better anyway, isn't it?
Yes, and I try to keep it a reasonable figure. My rate for classes is $35 an hour, and that's everything furnished. And then if they want to go ahead and do 5 hours, I just round it off to $150. Like I said, it's strictly one-on-one. And where I'm doing for Indian Hills, if I could have up to 4 people at a time, and I think people get a lot more out of it by working strictly one-on-one like this. And, okay, now we've got a leaf basically from there. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark 4 3/4 inches from here. And I love to have measuring devices. And that distance right in there is 4 3/4.
That's a little different than a ruler, isn't it?
When you got something red hot, it's just not easy to hear, wham. I know where 4 3/4 inches is. So, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a dimple in there, and that'll be for a screw. That's all. This pencil I'm using is an artist diamond art supply. We're white charcoal. Now, the only thing I found really works good on red hot metal like that. Now I want to put this dimple on the opposite side of the little curling cube. Now then, we will right over there.
It's like right where you wanted it.
Right. It wasn't lying to me. What we can do from this point right here, if you want to save time, this next step would be this step right here, drilling the hole, and then the next step would be to make this curve. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we can move on to something else. Well, I tell you what, I think we'll go ahead and do a little bit more work on this before we switch gears. Are we okay with time? Okay.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. Well, we'll just go ahead and do it this way. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put texture in this leaf. And a lot of smiths like to chisel the veins in, and that's perfectly fine. Looks great. I just prefer the texture. So what I do is I take my pencil and just draw a rough line down the center of this leaf. Nothing has to be super precise. Then I take this is called a walking chisel. And the reason it's called a walking chisel, you see it's rounded. And so you start back here. The hammer I'm looking for. I'm kind of amazed at these chisels. When I made these two chisels, I knew absolutely nothing about making tools. And somehow or other, I stumbled into it. And these two chisels I have been using ever since I started blacksmithing, at least 25 years ago. And I've never sharpened that chisel.
Never.
In 25 or 30 years, that chisel has never been sharpened. And the same for this one.
Now that one's got a wider base, it looks like.
Yeah.
Just put down. What does it do that the other one won't?
Just if you're working bigger stuff,
okay.
Just cover more territory. And then sometimes if you're doing a hot cut, I use this bigger chisel. Okay, now we've got a center vein chiseled in there. So now I'm going to texture, and all I've done is taken an old cross beam hammer and sharpened the heel. And I just take it over here. Now you have to work on the edge of something, because if you try to work out here, your hammer is hitting and you can't get what you're. So you got to have your hammer hanging off of it. Okay, so we will. Then, do the other side. Only way I can figure out to do it is just getting it a contorted position. I like to put a little texture on the sides. I mostly use this little hammer for that. If it's a really big leaf, I'll use this little size hammer. But mostly for the texture on the side, I use this little fella. Okay, so there our texture is on the front and on the side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use the center punch. This is one of the hardest parts I have to do, is getting a hole, center punch hole in the center of that little dimple there. But it can be, if you're not perfect, it's pretty forgiving. The screws I use, you can wiggle a little bit. So you've got a tiny bit of wiggle room.
You've got to have a little bit of a margin for error, don't you?
Okay, that was close enough. I'm happy with it. All right. Now, there's all sorts of ways you can turn the hook. Most of my hooks I turn on a little mandrel. As you can see, I've got all different sizes mandrels on there. And to me, it's just, that is the easiest way to do it. There is a lot of other ways to turn the hook. Now, what I'm going to do now is put my clamp, my palms back here. Maybe please get that. Okay, I'm going to end the fire here.
How much coal do you go through in a day?
Oh, yeah. That is a really good question. There's no answer to it. If you're doing little things like this, you know, 15, 20 pounds. If you're forge welding, doing really big stuff, you know, you can go through 40 or 50 pounds per day. Okay, now before I take this over here and curl it around the mandible, I'm going to pull that curlicue off because I don't want to mash it. And that's what I'm going to be hammering. And when I do this, I watch, and again, this is not exact, but I watch it when I can see my curlicue coming around there. That's where I want it. I try to pull it as level as I can. Okay, I see the curlicue and I flip it over and draw it down. Lay it over here. Try to straighten it out. Okay. They have to have hand to get this off. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to take this over here. We're going to do a little straightening on it. Because if I was a really super good smith, everything would come out straight. But since I'm not, it don't always come out straight. The first thing I'm going to look for is, I can tell you right now, take right by that nipple and push down on that. You can see how crooked that
it is.
That's going to be on the wall that way if you didn't do something.
It doesn't look too crooked though, just eyeball it.
That is beyond acceptability. But it's not hard to correct. Just a good old pressed wrench. Put it in there. Give it a turn. Okay. That looks like it's a little straighter now.
Looks good to me.
All right. Now, next thing we're going to do, we're going to have to run out there, turn the torch. What we're going to do now is use the torch and do this curlicue in there.
Okay.
And it's not going to be as long as that one because the stem's not that long. At this point, this sleeve is ready to go in the tumbler.
Okay.
And to get polished up. Okay, when it comes out of the tumbler, it will look like this. Now you notice this element has a little brass sleeve on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real difficult procedure. Put that brass sleeve in. What it takes is a brass brush, torch, which you can bring that up about 400 or 500 degrees. If you get it too hot, I guess the brass melts. I don't know what happens. But you can bring, they refer to it as a black heat, which is somewhere around 400 or 500 degrees. Take this brass brush, use the brush hook. First time I saw this done, I was really fascinated. I bought me 2 brass brushes. Come home, got a leaf made, put it in the forge, got it red hot, brushed it till it wasn't red anymore, and the leaf looked just like it did before. I did that about 3 times. You know, I think I'm pretty smart. I know what's the matter. The bristles in my brush and stick. I think that's pretty cool. out like.
Looks good. Wow.
The first thing we'll do is we're going to do a little curly cue for the decorative end on the hook. And then the next thing we do, we're going to do the nail. Then we get the nail bent around and do the hook, and then we'll have a drive-in hook. Okay, now what we're going to do here, we're just going to make the curly cue again. Right? Now, we'll pull it off. The next thing, we'll make the nail. Okay, now, I'm going to draw out a little longer paper. Now on these, I don't round these back up, I just leave my nail squared up. Now, this next procedure, when I have students and they're making a nail, I tell them, any part of the anvil is legal to get this next step done. Okay, now I'm going to bend this over right on itself. Now we're going to straighten that back out, and that'll be the head of the thing. Okay, now just put this right over right up the edge here. Just make it come around. I'm making these drive-in hooks. You can make any size you want. I think I've even made some of it out of half-inch round.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, just whatever trips your trigger that day.
It's really kind of nice to have that control, though, isn't it?
What?
It's kind of nice to have that control, isn't it?
Oh,
Just
yes.
whatever you want to do,
Yep.
the sky's the limit.
Yep.
If you can imagine it, you can make it.
Okay, now what we're going to do is just turn the hood. I like, you notice, just basically pound in the same place. And just form it right around there. And I can see better if I got my glasses up. Okay, I can see the hook coming around there. There's the finished drive-in hook.
Would that take you, about 15 minutes?
Probably. And probably if I wasn't talking.
Well, you've got a lot of tools and a lot of things in here. And we could spend probably a lion's share of an entire day just going through every bit of it in here. Unfortunately, time's getting away from us.
Okay.
We appreciate everything you've shown us. So we really appreciate your time. It was nice meeting you, and I really like the setup you've got here. It really does feel like we're walking 100 years back in the past.
Now, are you going to have time to go to the house and take a shot?
I don't know if we can do that today. We do want to do that.
Okay.
We'll try to do that. But Larry, appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Larry Crow, Old Crow Blacksmith Shop, right here in Eldon, Iowa. And we appreciate you coming along on this tour with us also. And we really appreciate it if you'd hit this little subscribe button down here in the corner. We could really use your help that way. And we really hope you've enjoyed the videos. Like us on Facebook. We're also there too. You can do that. So until next time, this is Mark with Mark and Rich and the Backroads channel. We'll see you down the road.